Okay, so I guess I'm live. I'll go figure on that one. I was trying to figure out why in Blazing Saddles I could not get my stream to fire up. I'm not even sure if anybody can hear me or if anybody's out there just yet. For some reason, my OBS was not wanting to allow me to stream at all. Not sure why, so I'm just going straight to YouTube for YouTube Live, and we'll leave it at that. And we'll just kind of sit here and wait to see if anybody pops up. If not, no big deal. It's all right. We'll just go ahead and let her run, and we'll see about talking our way through some of the other topics that were coming up here recently within some of the things that have been on my mind that I wanted to kind of discuss. For those who watch this later, that's fine. No big deal. One thing I want to start off with is for those who watch the channel Cab7, I want you to keep your thoughts and prayers out there for him. He's a dear friend, and he's in the hospital right now with some issues, respiratory issues. And he's a good man. He really is. He cares about people. He's not perfect, but he does care, and that's the important thing. So while that may be, for some people, I know there's been a little bit of hate thrown his way, and I don't see why. Of course, there are a lot of people who feel that they're very entitled to certain things or that they don't approve of certain things. Well, it's not our job to approve or disapprove of anything. Our job is to take care of ourselves. Ultimately, the very first thing we should deal with is ourselves. Nothing else matters past that. If this is not true, well, here's an interesting perspective to take a look at on that one. Let's take this from this one simple point. Anything, and I mean anything and everything really, outside of you doesn't have anything to do with you. Now you're probably saying, well, that doesn't sound right. That sounds kind of crazy. Really, it does sound crazy. I'm not going to disagree with you on that, but it's more true than you can possibly fathom. So here's the point of that. Birds are flying and wind's blowing. Can you do anything about that? No. Okay, fantastic. So that really doesn't have anything to do with you. You can enjoy it, or you can be upset about it, however you want to deal with it. That's fine. And then let's take it to a step further. Okay, there's a couple of people walking their dog through the park, and it's barking, and you wanted your ultimately happy little peace, quiet situation. You wanted to be left alone, and, well, the dog's barking. Does it really have anything to do with you, what that dog is barking about? No. Can you really control it? Well, you can scream, yell, and rant and rave, but that's just going to make you seem like a jerk. If you're doing it in the wrong way, you could ask politely, hey, I'm trying to get this, calm. I'm not trying to be mean. Can you please have your dog calm down? And, I'm just trying to get some peace. And I wouldn't blame anybody for that one. That's understandable. But really, it has nothing to do with you, because everything of what you're dealing with is how you perceive it. So really, the dog's not really disturbing your peace. Your expectation of what you think peace should be is being disturbed. Think about that. And that's a pretty big deal. So that's where, if you have an expectation, oh, hey, there you are. Yep, I was on chat earlier. Unfortunately, my OBS just didn't want to kick over, so here I am with this one. I'm just going to straight YouTube Live. I got to figure out why my OBS is not wanting to work. But definitely nice to have you here. So I was discussing that everything outside of us, everything and anything outside of us, has nothing to do with us, really. It's our expectation of what we see outside of us that causes us to have a moment of suffering. And I was bringing this up because of how some people may not be approving of like Cab7 and his lifestyle or his faith or anything like that. And I just found that to be rather short-minded. And so what I thought would be a great way of kind of thinking about this is that if we look at how everything within ourselves is an expectation outside of ourselves, then we can start looking at how really we're giving power over and away from ourselves, ultimately. So if that's the case, let's get this power back to ourselves. Let's realize that we can actually take control of that. So I was kind of explaining this in a very long roundabout way, but it's very complex for some people, and so that's why I did it, and I'm still doing it. So to get to that point, everything outside of you. So I was talking initially about birds, wind. There's no control over that, and now we're actually at the idea of how. Say like somebody's walking a dog and you wanted to find some peace in a park, you're just sitting there just trying to be calm and cool, bad day or something like that, and you're just trying to get it out of you, and the dog starts barking, and these people are just trying to walk their dog, but you have no control over it. Absolutely none, really. I mean, you can yell at them, you can be mean, you can be all kinds of things, or you can gently ask, but really it has absolutely nothing to do outside of you, everything outside of you has nothing to do with it. So really it has nothing to do with you at all, because even if you ask, really, it's nothing you really could control. You can ask, but they don't have to listen to you. Hey, known by PJ, how you doing? My first time making it to your stream. Yay! It's nice to have you guys. So with that, being that everything outside of you is about your expectation of what you see it to be, rather than just allowing it to be and just observing it, that's where we can get ourselves into some trouble. This is where we give up that personal power because we get upset with all kinds of stupid stuff. And I'm there, done it, been there, not perfect. Yeah. Yeah, it's true. That's the case. But some people can, let's take it another step then. That's a great point about animals. Some people may be cool with it, but let's take it another step. Let's say that you really have that coworker at work that really just gets your goat. And you really just want them to basically stuff a sock in it. Every time they talk, they just make it to where it's almost impossible for you not to want to go, wow, your parents really were brother and sister, weren't they? And so the idea is that even their actions, regardless of what it is, has nothing to do with you. It's your expectation of how you think things should be is what causes you suffering. And by suffering, meaning like frustration, anger, fear, sorrow, all the things that you think, are just bad, averse-based emotions. So like for people who don't approve of how Cab's been, of his lifestyle, is a good example, or his faith, and how they put across that perspective is merely how they perceive how they see things and what they expect it to be. Yeah, I can really relative. Yeah. It's funny how relatives are always the first one. And my mom and I are the black sheep of the family up here. So trust me when I say I understand that one. So this is where when we give up that power by putting this expectation forth as an absolute thing, we identify that this is the thing we are. We lose our own personal power because we just gave it over, consenting in a way, if you would look at it that way, that these things have control over us to make us act a way when we really don't have to. So for whomever wants to sit there and say anything about Cab, really I look at it as that they really are that weak. They're very insecure. They're very weak. They're very, and what makes it worse is that I want to pray for them so badly because they're hurting so much that they want to attack somebody who genuinely is such a beautiful human being because they care so much. And it's easy. Kindness is considered weakness. It's a wolf kind of prey on thing that people do, sometimes unwittingly because they're just very ignorant of themselves. But this is why this channel that I'm trying to raise up now is about building awareness of who you are, making it so you have better control over yourself, lifting yourself up, giving you a chance to kind of breathe, to make it again so that you have your personal power back, because I lose control all the time. My beloved Amber's on the channel. She will tell you easily there are times I lose it and I have to come back. And this is where, with that experience, I want to share that with you to go, okay, so here's some things that have been done. I'm not perfect, far from it. And at the same time, here's some mistakes I've made, but there were easier ways to get through it that I found later on. And I've used these tools to change the conversation drastically. And that doesn't matter who you are. I mean, at this point, it's like I was saying in the live stream with Cab there on Sing Your Heart Out was, I don't care who you are. If you think you got it in you to call me a name, well, that's fantastic. Yeah, I understand that one. Known by PJ, but brother, I love you. It's just how it is. The whole point is that we have the matter of people who want to give up their own personal power by trying to attack other people. If that's not true, watch how fast, if you really want to take real good control of the conversation. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were my bad. My very sincere bad. Wow. See, bad thing, but apologetic. You're awesome. Doesn't matter. Still love you for who you are. I don't care. I don't care if you're man, woman, elephant, penguin. Don't care. I personally don't look at anybody that way. Yeah, I know. Egg all over this face. In fact, if you don't mind, I think I'm going to scrape the omelet off right now. So, yeah. Well, yeah. Good. Yeah, I know, dear. She's in the back room. She's probably laughing and giggling at me right now. But that's where, again, if you want to see how fast you can change the direction of these people really fast and see how much control you actually have over them, watch this one. When they're attacking you, and this is the fun part, because then when you understand you really actually have the power, don't let it faze you. Well, it's fantastic. I'm glad you figured out these words. Have you thought about adding this one, this one, this one? I mean, and if you're going to call me a mother effer and this and that, well, how about this one and this one? I'm still trying to figure it out. Oh, you called me a racist or a misogynist or this. Well, that's fantastic. You have language. I'm so grateful that you actually understand words. Do you know how they actually mean? I mean, that might be an important thing for you. And then watch them get a little bit angry, and you just shove them just a little bit over. It's taking that power away and diffusing it, just sitting there saying, you can call me whatever you want. I don't care. Good luck. I'm not going to be hurt by it. You're the one who's got the issue with me, because it's how you perceive me, not how I am. I know who I am. I'm a big mess. I have my own problems, and I have to be the one to actually deal with those, to be responsible that in a way, I'm supposed to be a better man every time I turn around, that I have an engaging conversation with people. I should be a better person immediately to those who I'm talking to. I want to give the best representation of who I want to be for them, not so much as a yes man, but because I want to be genuinely an amazing human being and something that people can be proud of to be around and proud to know me. And that's what I would like to be. Not that I'm trying to be like everybody's friend, because let's face it. I mean, if we really wanted to talk about people that that are not happy with me, we can always talk about my ex-wife. And that's the truth of it. That really isn't the fun part of it. I'm not making fun or anything like that, but she and I don't agree. So it's understandable that there are people I'm just not going to get to like me. It's fine. It's okay. Go do you. And, I hope you find happiness, which is ultimately what I want. I want people to find their peace, which is true happiness. There is a difference between the two. Let's see here. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I understand that empathy thing. I'm watching for being sensitive to certain energies. I have that kind of gift of psychometry, where if I just shake somebody's hand, I can kind of get that vibe off of people. So really, understanding how you can take the power away from people that try to rob you of it by their comments because they perceive you as something, or they're going to make you think that they perceive you as this and they think that they see you as something. That's fantastic. I've been looking at the mirror and seeing all the problems I already have, and for some reason, I'm not so insecure. I know I have this issue. What are you going to do? Call me out? Okay, so I used to drink, and I quit a long time ago. Big deal. I had some problems with my ex-wife. Fantastic. I was a failed husband at that point in time. Oh, great. I've done this. What more do you want? And you're saying I'm a bad person for this? I made mistakes. I picked myself up and got back on the trail to become a good man. Kind of speaking in, it's almost as if I'm having to talk down to them because it's like they don't understand English. And that's where, if you pull that away from people and you sit there and say, okay, so what? I did something wrong. What? Well, you should blah, 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 blah. I'm doing the best I can. If that's not good enough for you, then fantastic. I'm glad. I don't sleep with you. I don't get paid my rent from you. You don't give me a paycheck. I gain nothing from your jerk of an attitude. I can be whatever I want right now. And I'm going to be awesome because you, out of everything you could choose to be, you're just being upset over something that's not you. So pulling that power back is an important thing. Yes, that is a maple leaf on my hat. And yes, we're in Canada. God help me. We actually want to come back to the States, even though I'm dual citizen. I was born here in Canada, but my father's an American, so I served in the U.S. Army. And that was where I found my love of the United States. But we came up here, we decided to give it a try, see what would happen. But it has not been all that great for us. It's not a lifestyle up here that I really can feel as me. Even though I was born Canadian, I'm very much American. And yeah, it's not bad up here. If you want to visit, there's a lot of, they love your money. But don't expect, if you decide to stay, that there are some slang words that I can tune you into fast, that I've been called everything but a child of God in the past, really. But I think the funniest one I've ever been called is a hot dog eater or a yank. Those are entertaining, especially when I tell them that yeah, that's very true, dear. That you would find it odd that kind of word wouldn't mean much to us, because we're like, okay, so Yankee Doodle Dandy. But no, actually, it's a term that they can't stand us. They're very socialist up here, and that's fine. It's more power to them, but I'm very much not. No, it's not me. Socialism has its plagues that I could go on for a long time, but that's not the purpose of my channel tonight. So we'll pass on that one. Anyway, but there are a lot of beautiful things up here. I was going to say, if you wanted to come visit, honestly, I would say get the city pass up here, and you can do the CN Tower. Right next to it is the aquarium, Ripley's Aquarium, which is beautiful. I have yet to go there. I want to really see it. There's Casa Loma. My mom actually had her prom there, and this is an actual full-size castle that's actually in Toronto. In fact, there's a section you go underground to get to the garage/stables. It's the only way you can get in and out of there is actually going through underground. You actually go under the streets of Toronto to get to and from. It's amazing. It really is. And at the same time, there's also the ROM, which is the Royal Ontario Museum. Amazing. Really it is. I really want to take my Amber there. She got to see part of the ROM. The Casa Loma. And then you can also choose one of the two, and I would really recommend, they have the Ontario Science Museum. It's really meant for little kids. Really it is. I would recommend go to the zoo and get your fill there. Really, that would be it. So you get to go to 5 places for the city pass. You have 9 consecutive days to use it, and it's well worth it. You save easily about, I'd say, maybe close to $100. It's actually really good stuff. So let's see what we got here. Texas to Nevada next month. Wow. Interesting. I sent it to Ben's chat. Asked them to stop bashing someone who wasn't there. Yeah. I mean, difference in culture and openness to the cannabis as well. Yeah, there is some pleasantry about that. And here's the thing: is that while they have openness about cannabis, now here's the thing: I'll fill you in, because we live here. We know you can have, and I know this is going to blow people's minds. You can have just a little bit more than an ounce on hand of dry material. So 30 grams on hand, walking around out in the middle of God and creation. I don't even have to hide it. Doesn't even have to be in a brown bag. I mean, we're talking about Ziploc clear bag. Hey, look, I've got bud. And you could be walking around like that with it, and the cops won't even blink at you. No kidding. However, edibles are still in question, and that's what I have to use occasionally for my gout when it gets so bad that I'm losing my freaking mind. And I do mean like losing it. So that's another point for people that may want to know about that one. CBDs are my go-to. I love my CBDs. Oh, God. There's something about that I have to say that I wish I'd known about it sooner. It anti-anxiety, antidepressant, and helps with inflammation. And there's no psychoactive high, so I can drive with it. Amazing stuff. Thank God for it. But there's again, some things about that too, is that the dispensaries, if they're not licensed, for what? Good Lord. I was going to say, and if they threatened you, I would just honestly have to say, what are they going to threaten you with? Bad language? Or are they going to come to your house? I mean, at that point in time, I would hope that you would have, afforded the time to call the authorities. Because at that point in time, I wouldn't tolerate that at all. Granted, I'm the type of person that, I normally would call the authorities at that point in time, but if they decided to show up at the door, that's their downfall. They really don't want to do that. That's a bad idea, being as trained as I am. But I'm sorry that you're actually having to deal with it. Really, I would recommend, if you actually have somebody who's threatening you in any way, shape, or form with physical violence, you should be calling the police, and no holds barred. Don't even wait for it at that point in time. You should not have. Yeah, but that's still, it doesn't matter. With this is a matter of, even though it's a lack of, distance issue, or it's a majority of distance issue, that they're nowhere near you. The point is that they still made a threat, and that should not be tolerated. That is, children do that kind of thing, and we as adults who, like we're talking right now, I'm glad you guys are here. You're my guests. I really appreciate you, and thank you for being here. Um, I want you to have a great experience. I don't want to call you names. I want to talk to you in a way that I want to uplift you and make you feel better. I want you to have power in your life, to get back that personal power that's robbed from you. If you want to see the greatest robbing of power, just watch commercials on TV. Boy, they'll tell you everything about how horrible you are for not buying this wonderful product that they think that they have. You really need to have that power put back to you, and that's where I want to give that. I mean, we cut TV off 7 years ago. Trust me, I know that those things rob me of personal power. I can't even stand to look at a commercial now with how it is. But if there are people who are threatening you, you really should take the time to just do it. Give it over to the authorities. You can just report it and then leave it at that. You don't even have to go too far with it. Oh, absolutely. No problem. That's what this is about. This is what we should be doing for each other. And if anything with this, if it works for you and you start lifting yourself up where you finally have that grasp on it, where it's personally yours, like I want it to be, then pass it on to somebody else. Just do like what Cab's been trying to show us, which has been great. Pass it along. Give that love out to other people. Yeah, that's true. Grown-ups can be bigger bullies than kids. And I wouldn't say that it's so much that, oh, God, I would say that it's horrible that when adults, while they may maintain some intelligence when they get older, wisdom is a lost thing. And wisdom is the gem that we all strive to attain. Part of this also comes, this wisdom comes from getting our butts kicked so much that we get knocked down in the mud so much that we lift ourselves up. I have been beat down so bad that I have the compassion to want to do this for you guys, just like Cab is. And lately I've failed as a human being in my own way, that I kept letting depression and anxiety beat me down. To fight with PTS it's difficult because you want to withdraw. And that's why I disappeared off the channel for a while. I just wanted to withdraw. I didn't want you guys to suffer the burden. But I'm finding that that's not the way to get through this, even more so. And I have to thank my beloved Amber for some of this, because she was amazing to try and help me go through this. And a couple times she was like, you need to get your head firmly out of your butt. And, I would have to say at that point, she was probably the best proctologist I ever had. All jokes on it. And on this guy specifically. But this is where finding the time to see how people want to pick on others, and I'm not afraid to sit there, like on Cab's channel, and say to people, if you think you got it, come at me, because it's not going to work. I'm just going to look at you and go, well, fantastic. You know how to use words. Do you know what they mean? And there's a great thing, a professor of mine when I was in university, that taught me these really three. I love these words. I use them almost abusively. And that is to eschew nemaitis gongorisms. I know that's going to sound like really off the wall, especially since the third word is from like the 15th century. But to eschew is to avoid. Nemaitis is large, and gongorisms, as I said, is a 15th century word that means words. So I just used large words to say that we should avoid large words. And I do this to people who think they can use the vernacular of the English language and just be abusive with it and make people feel stupid. And it's just like, well, I'm glad you know words. I know them too. And I know. I was there for that whole stream with wait, was this a later one? No, by PJ. Was this a later one? I might have missed that one. I'm not sure. I didn't go back and check his channel. There's other bashing going on here. No names at all. Yeah, that's fair. I personally, again, they can come at me, and I just look at them and just like, well, I'm glad you feel this way. And I'm not even feeling that, even if they got on my channel, I wouldn't turn it off. I'd just be like, well, here's what we have. Now let's analyze this for a minute, because I would do that. That's the one thing I would say for people who want to come to this channel and want to be abusive about it. Eventually I'll have some moderators and we'll work through that. But my biggest thing is that I'd be looking at the chat going, well, let's analyze this for a second. Fantastic. I'm glad I have a volunteer that wants to help out with this. And make it so that we can take it apart and realize to let them know that, look, you have no power here to beat me up. But I'm sorry that you're hurting. I want you to stop hurting. What's got you really problem? What's your real trouble here? What's going on? And peel that away from them. That's the real gift that's been given to me by other people who I can say that have taught me so many ways. So it's not even me, but it's other people who've taught me that have been taught to them, et cetera, et cetera. These gifts that have been passed down. So people bash others. Yeah, that's true. And that's where, again, if you don't let it out and you show them that they have no power, it's like, again, as I said before, if they want to try and attack me for my past violations of being a human being and making mistakes, well, fantastic. Have at it. What more do you want me to say? I screwed up. I made mistakes. I'm trying to be better about it. I'm going to do the best I can. Let me show you how awesome I am in this other way. This person says, well, time for me. It's okay. This is where, again, if they're making threats or whatnot, you need to deal with it so that they understand that this is not acceptable. Again, if you feel that if it's something that they're threatening your bodily harm, you need to call the police. Seriously, don't wait on that. I did some time as a military policeman while I was in service. I augmented and had a little bit of time with it. Really, honestly, I would say call the police. Don't hesitate. I mean, even if I knew who it was, etc. myself, I would call for you. And this is where, again, we have to take back the power to say that you shouldn't be a floor mat, a rug, the doormat. Actually, I was trying to find words there that people just rub all over. You sit there and say, I don't have to take this. Go away. And if you think that you have anything on me, well, too bad. Yeah, I would say start laughing is definitely a good way about, because that ultimately takes power. And you're also heaping coals on them by laughing, because they don't have any power at that point. It's like, yeah. My son was not sure I understand. All right. Medic. Oh, okay. There you go. So yeah, dismantling their attack and making it so that they have no power over you, and showing that really it's like, okay, so so here's a good one. Let's see here. I'm going to go back to time. Let's say that I was in high school and we want to talk about the bullies that were back then. So I screwed up on, oh God, what mistake do I want to pick? Okay, here's a good one. Amber and I have been friends forever, really, since we've been 15, and I'm 47 now. She's still 23 going on, she's 23 and change. And, yeah. And, basically she's going to sock me with, I dated all of her friends in high school, but I never dated her. And at the same time, I kind of turn that around and go, yeah, well, you were with somebody when I was single, and when I was somebody, you were single. It was always back and forth. But, if she hits me with that, I know it's in jest. But let's say it's somebody who actually wants to really attack me. Yeah, it happened. I can't go back and change it. There's nothing I can do. I accept my failings. I accept that I made these mistakes. Does that mean that I want to go back and do them again? No. But I'm a better person now. Now, if this is not good enough for you, then you have a sense of entitlement of what you think that I'm supposed to be. I'm not going to be that person, because your expectation is far from it. Quit putting me up on a pedestal. Give that power back to yourself to say things like that. I'm not going to be put up on some. I mean, we want to meet those things because we want people to kind of like us. It's a sense of belonging that we all go through. But really, we should feel that that pillar that they're putting up there, it's a gilded cage, because you're going into their small little trap door of what they think reality is, when really reality is as big and as infinite as we can have it. I've been in domestic violence 40 years. There you go. Exactly. And domestic violence is not a good thing at any point ever. It never is. People need to learn how to walk away. In some situations, um, it's one of those things to where men, women. Honestly, recently here, I've been hearing more violence between same-sex partners up here. It's really alarming. It's quite scary. Um, People should just learn that if they're going to have somebody who wants to do whatever, get out quick. Especially if you're the person who wants to commit the violence because somebody is, egging it on. I've seen that happen. Get out. If you're a person who's about to be abused by somebody, get out. Don't wait. Don't walk. Run. Get out. And if you know somebody, call them. If you can't trust them, call somebody else. If you can't trust them, call the police. Call a shelter. I mean, I realize for men, because the way that things are going nowadays, there's no men's shelter, really. There are women's shelters, but men are considered and pushed aside. It's what it is. But get out, and get out quickly. There's no reason, there's absolutely zero reason for people to take these abuses at all. They should just leave. Again, and there are people that they trap in people to, like in an argument or something like that, trying to make them hit them. Also, is another thing that's it's kind of a growing trend. Unfortunately, it's like it's passive aggressive in its own way, but it's really weird how people want that kind of thing just so that they can trap somebody and get them into jail. I blindfolded myself for yeah, and that's it. And you shouldn't have had to deal with any of that, hon. I mean, really, you want to be in a situation where you can find peace and not have somebody who's going to continually break you down, etc. It's different if you're trying to yell at somebody or get, through their head, hey, look, you're being destructive to yourself. You're being, self-destructive. And I'm going to tell you, you're being an idiot. Well, that's different. But if you reach out in violence, then you're really not quite getting it. Now, there are some times with, people who take it a step too far and it gets out of hand. And this is where we have police and everything gets involved. But the people who actually care about you, like your real friends, will sit there and try and pick you up, tell you how much of a moron you've been, and tell you that if you keep doing this, it's going to end up in a bad way. And they may say it in a way that's not very nice. It may be fairly abrasive. But these are the people who are actually trying to care for you. They don't want to hurt you. They just want you to get your head out of your butt. That's understandable. But domestic violence, no. So if you're threatened, especially on a channel, like if I'm threatened, go ahead. Let's see what else we got here. Yeah, this happened. My best advice. Yep, stash bag. Absolutely. Agreed completely. Yeah, that's true. Sometimes it's like the Buddha said it this way, and Known by PJ is making a very good example of why this is true, is that sometimes life is like this, and then sometimes life is like that. You have to find what's going to work for the circumstance at hand. But I completely agree. A stash bag is, even if you're not in a domestic violence situation, you should have a stash bag. Important papers, 3 days worth of, I completely agree. Because you never know when it's going to hit the fan and you need to bug out. Completely agree. And that's not just for domestic violence. That's for everything. Because the house could burn down. A flood could happen. Blizzard happens and the roof falls in. Anything could happen. Home invasions, anything. Definitely agree. Awesome. Wonderful advice. Love that. Once you find self-worth and believe you deserve more. Yep, absolutely. Because at that point in time, yeah, that's true. Bus station is a great place. We don't have many bus stations here, though. I know that's going to sound weird, but it's true. We really don't actually have them like that. We have great mass transit in some ways, but it's not like Greyhound's just right around the corner here. I know it's going to sound crazy, but it's true. But yeah, once you get that self-worth thing, all of a sudden the backbone kicks in, and you're just like, I'm kind of done with this. You get that taste of real you come into your mouth, and you're like, I remember this. This is who I really am. and then you can move on. And that's great. That's awesome. Awesome in every way. I love it. So again, let's get back to that point though about with how if people feel that they want to take your power and they start saying things and they want to ramp it up, they're trying to constantly, yeah, you can't trust Best Buy. That's true. That's why I said if you don't feel like you can trust somebody else, call somebody else. Call the police. Run to a shelter. And I do mean run. Don't walk. You'd be surprised that even up here we have Tim Hortons that are open 24 hours. I know that in the Northeast area up here they have some Tim Hortons. I know they're getting all over the place. Yeah, that's right, dear. Sometimes you can't even trust family, and you and I are very aware of that one. Yes, we are. But you could run into a Tim Hortons and just sit in there, if that's what you have around you, or Dunkin' Donuts, anything. I mean, these people they're working, but they honestly don't want. They're going through a shift. They don't want any drama or problems. They'll call the police for you. I mean, the background just bit. Yeah. I mean, she's coming up here to stalk me or go have a smoke. There you go. There you go. Exactly. And this is where, again, when people want to ramp things up to try and take more from you, like you see a lot of the things that are going on out in the news now where people are, because of different political beliefs, they want to attack you for the fact that you didn't agree with them for something like that. And then they have all these, and there she goes. And God, you're beautiful and I love you. So, yeah, she's back there. So, that's okay. Look who you married. I'm a clown myself. So,
well, okay, you call me crazy, but you married me, so what does that say about you?
No, I'm that crazy, so it is what it is. Yeah, exactly. Oh God, I wouldn't trade her for the world.
This is how we are, though. This is how we are. This is not an act.
No, this is as real as you're gonna get. Yeah, you're gonna find that this is how it is when you if you ever meet us. Yeah, we're just as crazy. Maybe more so.
Yes, I am going out to have a cigarette. Yes, more so, especially with you.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, but it's all right.
I'm crazy in my own other ways.
Yeah, she beats me with a cast iron pan. It's wonderful. But
okay, I'll be right back, guys.
If you have people that want to take your power, just remember that you have the complete control and you don't have to let it go. You can make fun of the situation because watching somebody get mad when they have absolutely no control over you actually is quite entertaining as long as they don't resort to violence. And that's when, of course, you have to defend yourself and or get out of the way and or call the police and or all these other things as well. You know, again, My PJ made it very perfectly good. A very clear and pointed situation right there is that sometimes it's not going to work the way I'm saying. And this is why I've always said in my videos, I am not your last teacher. I am not the answer to the universe. I am not perfect. Far from it. I'm just going to say, if I was perfect, somebody put down a bucket of water. If I can walk on it, great. Because I think I'm going to get my feet wet and all the way up to maybe my knees, depending on how deep the bucket. It's just how it is. Thank you. Yes, at times we're not so gorgeous. Sometimes we're swearing at the TV if it's hockey season or, if we're watching the NFL when things aren't so political. But yeah, especially, oh man, oof. This last Stanley Cup, I was crying that Toronto lost, but get that off the table. Oh, I don't want to be in tears here. This is so bad. I'm just glad Boston lost. Anyway, so this is where the realness makes it gorgeous. Yeah, that's true. We have nothing to hide about that. It's just who we are. And if we looked at it for a long time now, is that the more we act on our love and allow it to express itself, we allow more love into the world. This is what this is supposed to be about with this channel. We're supposed to try and, as I've been looking forward to trying to finally do a live stream, we're here to gift everyone with more love into the world and then give you back your power, which then ultimately allows you to love people, because at that point you get to love yourself even more. And that's when things can be really beautiful. You can be happy with just sitting in a room with a book, maybe not even that. Maybe you want to sit outside. One of my favorite things, honestly, sitting on the porch when it's raining outside, hot cup of cocoa, some buttered toast, and just, oh my God, that is wonderful. And just sit there by myself and just enjoy. What are you stalking on my chat for?
I am adding moderators.
You're adding moderators? Okay, because I don't know what I'm doing with this.
He has no clue.
Yeah, I know how to talk. I know what things are about certain things, but she's going to be pretty much beating me later with this, going, you needed to do this and this and this.
See, watch what I'm doing.
Okay, I'm watching.
See the little dots?
Mm-hmm.
That.
Add moderator. Okay, there we go. Nice. All right, fantastic. Sweet. No me. Known by PJ said no. Removing
Okay.
one. No worries. There we go. So it's just, again, what do I know? I'm just a man.
I can add myself.
Okay. At that point in time, you know exactly who and what would be the situation that may.
Well, I also should be moderator.
Yeah. I do believe in one thing, is that if anybody wanted to moderate on the channel, the thing that I would say that ultimately comes up is that they can attack me all they want. Good luck. You're going to need it. That's the way I would tell them. But if they start to attack anybody, like if there are children that are out in the chat, because I do openly say that if kids want to come on and ask questions, as long as their parents are there, because that's a big deal to me.
I'm Mama Bear.
No, that's understand. Yeah, no, that's completely understandable. But if there are kids that are out there and they have their parents' blessing to ask me questions, you know, hey, how's this? What's that? You know, I'm having these thoughts. This is this. I would ask the moderators that if those kids are being attacked in any way, get whoever is attacking those. Oh, that is my end of patience at that point in time, because kids typically do not have the tools that adults have to deal with that. And they're innocent. And they don't deserve to be beat down, especially by adults. I mean, I don't care what your political beliefs are. The Covington kids thing was a whole fiasco. I'm sorry. I could see through some of the videos very clearly what was really going on. Nobody touched anybody. But still, I watched how the whole thing was torn apart, and I watched all the news in between to catch every angle I could. And for me, it was very heartbreaking to see that people would do this and capitalize on kids. Yes, beloved.
Something just went from my face.
Well, it's not my thoughts, because you usually say I don't have a thought in my head, but...
Well, no, but I'm just letting you know something just went.
Okay. No worries. I think we're all right. So, that's a big deal for me. That is a big deal. And I also have it where I'm going to bring up some history here. You can look it up if you want, and it is graphic if you watch the video. So I would highly say look it up. Maybe not want to watch the video, but you can get the facts without watching the video. When I first moved up here, it was in 2013. And I was up here maybe a month and a half. And I was living on the west side of town here. And I was watching the news, and something popped up that just blew my mind. A young man by the name of Sami Yatim obviously had some mental issues, serious ones. And he was a young man. I think he was 19. I think so. And he was on one of the streetcars in Toronto. Now, Toronto's massive. It is huge. The majority of the population of Canada is in Toronto, 12.5 million people. It is massive. So I went and found out where this had happened, and I actually did my own form of pilgrimage out there and asked a bunch of questions just because I was curious about it when I went to the spot. Okay, no worries. And what happened was that this kid had only a knife, but he'd scared everybody off the streetcar, and the cops were called. And I say kid because usually most of us don't have our brains until we're about in our early 30s, and that's understandable. You know, I can even admit my brains were elsewhere. I'm sure most women would say, "Yep, we know what he means." Yeah, just weird. And during that time, you know, it was very difficult for me. So I could kind of relate with this kid with his anger, and possibly, you know, I don't know what was wrong with him, and I would have asked about that. Now, being that I've been trained in techniques of de-escalation, which is a thing that police are supposed to be taught. Now, I was taught this in the military police in 92. Yeah, 1992, I was taught this. And so you can figure how many years ago that was, and I still remember exactly how you're supposed to take it's forces of lethality as to how to de-escalate and when you can actually capitalize on when you have to do certain things. I can explain that later if anybody's curious. And what happens is that the cops, unfortunately, here did not take down the situation to a lower escalation point. They did not remove this and try and talk to the kid. No, they had their guns drawn and were in a pack of about, I think there was about 4 or 5 of them all clumped together. Like, they were all scared. And this kid had a pocket knife and he was quite the distance away inside the streetcar, and they were quite the distance outside. I would say they had a good 15, 20 feet separation, if I remember right. Now, I could be wrong with that, so let's say that for right now. But I know there was quite a bit of distance. And they shot him. The one main police officer that was there shot him, and I'm going to say it just how it is. They shot him 6 times. Then they shot him 3 more times after a pause. And then the supervisor climbed up onto the streetcar and tased him. And so for people who are kind of shocked about that, yeah, I watched the video. I didn't shrink back from it. In fact, I watched about 30 different maybe 40 different videos of different angles of people watching or doing it. I even watched the camera from inside the streetcar when they finally released it. And yes, the police officer did get criminal charges. And yes, the supervisor has also been criminally charged as well. But I would have looked at it as that this is a boy. And we need to de-escalate this because I still don't know what was troubling him. I have no idea. I would have honestly sat there and I would have holstered my weapon and I would have asked him very clearly, son, I know you're upset. What's wrong? What's wrong? What's going on? You just stay there. I'm going to stay right here. Everybody get back. Let me just talk to you. It's just me and you. Just me and you. What's going on? And have my hands up so he can see. The other thing is that really, in a situation, everybody else is back there behind me ready to draw if there was a problem. But at that point, my hands are up so that if he does come at me with a knife, I can at least do what I need to hands on. And your cat sees you on the TV. That's my wife. This is where, again, people need to understand for kids, I have a very soft spot on the idea of that they should be protected in a way from people who say things because it causes them to downward spiral. And then their self-worth issues go on. We already have it bad enough that, God, if you have teenage girls around you, please tell them to stop reading Cosmo. God, please, it is so destructive. I cannot believe the garbage that is in that magazine. My opinion firmly. I have never seen things that have... They tear girls down so badly. Oh, you're supposed to look like this. Oh, you're supposed to pick up a boy like this. Oh, you're supposed to pick up a girl like this. It's just like... When was the last time you just let people be who they are? Let kids be kids. Yeah, they're going to make some stupids. They're going to do all kinds of things. They're going to be asking questions. What's their sexuality? Who am I really? What's my purpose in life? All these things. When was the last time we just sat there and asked them, well, what do you think? And let them answer and say, well, that's an interesting way of looking at things. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm perfect. I made horrible mistakes as a parent many times over. My youngest is in the back room over here, and he's 20. And I made horrible mistakes. But, what's funny is that because I was at least willing to listen, as many kids, don't have that opportunity to do so, my stepdaughter is now finally starting to ask me questions in a way that's meaningful. I mean, she's pregnant. She's going to give me my 3rd grandchild because my first stepdaughter's given me 2. She's being beautifully responsible for that. Yeah, I make sure that they know. Exactly. They don't have to fit in. Who said you had to fit in? Exactly. I so agree with that. Absolutely. Wonderful. Beautiful advice. And that just be you. Who cares? And if you there are cliques in high school. You can't avoid that. Kids are so intolerant. Oh, man. I know. The bullying I went through was pretty drastic. And then finally I started doing things that just threw people off where they didn't have any choice but to look at me and go, he's too crazy to mess with. And that happened grade 10. Last day of high school, grade 10. I was defending my girlfriend's honor at the time. She's a wonderful woman, has 3 kids now. Yeah, 3 kids, happily married. And she's a wonderful woman. And I was defending her honor because these guys they said something really screwed up, and I flipped them off and said, screw you. Well, on the last day of high school, those 2 guys and 4 of their buddies cornered me and beat the ever-loving crap out of me. But what was funny was I wasn't going to go down, and they walked outside and thought I was just going to basically slink off to nowhere. And I then tackled the main guy who started the whole thing right in front of everybody, and I didn't care. At that point in time, I've lost everything, including my sense of who I was, and I just went after the guy. It's funny how when you do that and you lose your crazy and you let it out, people don't necessarily want to mess with you anymore. And that happens for kids. But I don't recommend that really stupid thing as a kid, But yeah, for kids, they're so intolerant. Yeah, don't get them to read. Oh, God, that magazine is such garbage. And I mean, there are other ones that guys read that I'm just like, why are you reading this crap? It's garbage. And give them the opportunity to say, you know what? Let me see what you think. If you like hearing what I'm talking about, I want to hear what you say, because actually I think what you have to offer might be just as important. And then this is where we come to that point of, instead of raising children, we're raising adults. And think on that one. That is an amazing thing to say. I'm raising adults. They stop being children as soon as they start being treated as adults, and it allows them an easier transition through their adolescence, I've noticed. And you sit there and say, well, what do you think? Well, I don't think I'd necessarily do it that way, but I see what you're kind of getting at. Why do you think that you would want to do it that way then? And allow them the opportunity to make their own mistake just in conversation. Say, well, if you feel that's really what you want to do, as long as they're not hurting themselves, okay, let's be upfront about that. Give them a chance to make that mistake. Yeah, they're going to scrape their knees and pick them up and keep them going. There's nothing wrong with them to make their own mistakes. Hey, that's my, yes, it is, dear, but I'm using it because of the fact that it works. And it's something that the two of us, really have done very well with. And I believe strongly in what you said. And it's important advice. People need to hear it. But as soon as they become responsible in their conversation with you, you can then let them be who they are freely, and then they start finding their purpose. They start to find their real identity, instead of being told, oh, hey, at such and such age, you should decide this, and having the news and the schools and everybody else tell them who and what they're supposed to be. Let them choose. Let them decide. They've already got enough people trying to tell them when they're in high school how they're supposed to act. That's why these cliques are horrible. I mean, I don't know how many times I wanted to sit there and just tell the preps to go stuff it. And eventually I did. I think my beloved, I don't know if you were there at that prep rally that I all of a sudden got down off the side we were having the prep rally, and I got out in the middle of the floor with no music or anything like that and just started dancing for no reason, and the whole crowd just erupted in applause and yay, even though I looked like a complete jackass. So, it's allowing your crazy to happen in a way that's, never stood people. Yeah, but it's true. Yeah, you raise kids, you get kids. But that's where, again, if you give them the chance to be who they are, they become these wonderful adults. They become these wonderful, beautiful people that have the opportunity to become something more than what we ever expected. And at the same time, we have to think about the future, not so much as in a selfish way, but who's going to be around for us when we finally get to our old and firm days? And are we going to be alone? Or are we going to have these beautiful, wonderful children of ours that have become adults that have their own children, that are then having their children? And we have this great legacy that we get to look down upon and say, you know what? I helped create this in a way that I'm trying to make the world a more beautiful place. And that's what we should strive for that. We really should. Because I'm starting to see it from the perspective of, again, with my stepdaughter, now that she's going to be a mom, and she's starting to do the right thing in a way that she listened to both Amber and I in such a way that it's sunk in. It means something. She's doing the right thing. She's also putting her boyfriend in check, because, I don't know, sometimes that boy doesn't have the brains God gave a goat. And, even I've been willing to sit there and say, if he's not willing to do the right thing, you let me know, and we'll have that nice conversation. Not that I hurt him. It's just one of those things that was just like, look, if you're not going to do this right, you need to move on. And then, don't break her heart, that kind of thing. Man-to-man kind of conversations that really should happen. But they're in their early 20s. I think he's like 23 or 24. I don't remember, dear. You know how old he is, maybe 25. But, we, as men, we all get our heads stuck up our butt in our early ages. We really do. Make a lot of horrible mistakes at times. Sometimes some good mistakes, because it, breaking our heart in our way that makes us a better man. That's a good mistake. but some of the bad mistakes do happen. So other than that, yeah, this stream was my first just to try and test this out, see where we're going with it. I'm so glad that everybody's out here. I only have 4 or 5 people. They see yeah, that's exactly it. Perfectly said. And this is where being a man rather than a boy is an important thing, because I love having the young men around here, as I love to chide them a little bit with this. Is, boys, you guys may have some swag. That's true. But men, we have class. So try and keep up. And boy, the look on their face like, what, but, yeah, that's right. Pull your pants up and try and keep up. So it's true. Women, not girls, women need a man, not a boy. And I think that's that thing that when I know that people who've had the domestic violence, they seem to pick people that are destructive because they felt that they're not worth it or anything like that. But a man will actually step up enough to sit there and say, I know you're not feeling right about certain things, but we're not going to go down this. We're not going to go down this track. We're going to pick you up. And I know you feel like you're wrong. And I mean, this is where the nice guys usually lose and the girls, pick off the bad boys and whatnot. But this is where it's like, you know what? I'm going to call you in your BS. You want to be talked down to? I'm going to talk down to you like this. You don't get to choose to be treated like a piece of crap. You don't get to choose these things. You want that? You're welcome to it. But if you notice how I don't give 2 craps about what you're saying here, and I'm going to actually make it so that you understand that I care and that you're full of it, and I'm tired of you right now. I love you dearly, but right now I don't like you. And I need to go. Because if you're going to do this to yourself, you know what? Find somebody else as your scratching post that you want to sit there and treat as, I'm the nice guy that you just blew off because you wanted that piece of crap. Go ahead. Help yourself. But I got better things to do, and you're not worth my time if you're going to do this. That's something I did have to learn, because I was the nice guy in high school that, man, I don't know how many times I had my heart broken trying to be the nice guy and thought I was going to, win her heart over kind of thing for all the gals that were in my life. You know what? The one that actually mattered, that I was the nice guy to and treated well, you know what? I'm kind of with her. And that's the thing. That's the one back there. We can talk about anything, nothing forever. We can talk about belly button lint for like 4 hours and who could care? We just like being with each other. But that's something that, some people miss out. And maybe it's just a guy who's gay and he's having a hard time trying to find another man that he thinks that he needs to find somebody who's, more domineering over top of him. You know what? Sometimes I understand how that could be different in the bedroom, but the point is that you don't have to be that way with your social interaction with people. There's a genuine respect to sit there and sit across the dinner table and say, you know what? How was your day? You look like you're down. I don't feel really good about myself. Well, what's going on? And just genuinely care about somebody, not having to sit there and, oh, I don't care how your day was. My day was this. Get me a beer. No, God. I don't want to be treated that way. And Amber knows very clearly on the days that she gets a little uppity about certain things and she's upset about something, she knows very clearly that I'll snap like, hey, I don't want to be, no, let's talk. I've had a bad day, but it sounds like you're having a bad one too. Can we diffuse this? And we've learned how to do this. You got to remember too, is that we've been married. Oh God, how long? 7 years? She must have really liked it. She put a ring on it. But unfortunately, I gotta buy a new one. I've looked all over. I can't find where mine went, and it's bothering me immensely. That's actually something that's caused me quite some anxiety. But I have a plan for something here, and I think my beloved's going to like what I'm going to do here. I'm planning to show her this after I have some money up to go buy these. But I'm going to be sneaky about this. She doesn't need to know just yet what I'm going to do, which drives her nuts. But this is where we need to have people understand that we need to be loved. And sometimes if it's a bad day, you know what? Why don't we just blow this off and just take a breath? Or if it's so bad that you need to do this, if I had the option, I'd be like, where's a cord of wood that I need to split? And go beat it down. Yeah. Yeah, after 4 years, a divorce, my first wife, I can't disagree that a divorce wasn't a bad thing for me. Yeah, and that's exactly it. I can't disagree with that. If divorce was an actual blissful situation and it was that bad, yeah, I'm glad you got out. Really. I Sometimes people just need to understand that they're not meant to be together. And that advice may need to be something that we pass on to others. It's like, hey, I'm glad you love him, but do you understand how toxic you two are to each other? Maybe. Yeah, and that happens, and unfortunately, it becomes it's a weird thing. It's not quite Stockholm syndrome, but boy, there are some people who feel like they're just trapped in it, like they can't, and even staying for the children is not necessarily the best idea because there can be some really negative things. Yeah, it's funny. She was with him my wife's ex-husband, she was with him for 6 months, but it took her 13 and a half years to get the divorce. But then I don't blame her for her reasoning. So it is what it is. So yeah, that's with regard to try and get your power back. Remember that these people, it's their perspective. Try to remember it as best you can, because it's so hard. We get so distracted. Boy, all of a sudden, turn around, squirrel, and there you are. But if you feel like you need to dive in, just understand that at that point in time, you've consented to this, you've agreed to identify with the idea that this is the thing I want to do, and that you then gave that power up. And it's not to say that you're a bad person if you did. You just made a small judgment error. It's okay. You can turn back and say, you know what? The more I think about this, I realize I just made a really stupid error here. You are not worth my time. Have a nice day. You can always walk away. And even if they don't want to let you walk away, you can walk away. But this is where, again, I think that with all the things that have been happening here with Cab, other people I've been hearing about that with Frances. I love Frances. She's such a sweet gal. And with all these folks that are having these people pick on them, I want to give this power back to say, send your bullies my way. I don't care. I'll hold a live stream that's just them, and everybody else can just sit back and watch. And I don't care. What are they going to call me? They certainly aren't going to call me a child of God, because I've yet to be called that in a bad way. And if they do, I'd be pretty entertained if they tried. I think I would be entertained, because I know that sticks and stones is still relevant, no matter how hard you try. It's something that I want to take that only because of the fact that I know how to diffuse it in a way that it just goes away. It doesn't bother me. It's so insignificant. I'm so comfortable with who I am. So what? People can sit there and try and beat me down. Okay, fantastic. I'm going to go out here and I'm going to help people because you give me every reason to do it. I'm here because you're picking on people. Think on that one. So these little mind screws that I'm trying to throw at people. Oh, I just hit my mic. I didn't realize that. It's mind twists, little mind screws. I want to show them that I'm crazier than they are. That I have absolutely every intention to be as nuts as I can throw all that crazy at them, to say, well, if you can do whatever you want, but hey, it is what it is. But at this point, you know what? I've been talking for a while. Is there any questions that anybody has? I realize there's only about maybe 2 other people besides my wife. She stalks me. It's awesome. If anybody has any questions that, if there's anything that you want to hear that maybe I might have an answer for, or I might know a direction as to where we can go, because I know that there were a couple of them that, like my last, he wasn't that bad. Yeah. her ex-husband really wasn't that bad. But, my last video I did was that hard is hard. So if there's anything else that comes up that might be of a questionable situation, otherwise, I can just keep talking. It's not a big deal. Figured I'd run with this for a while and just see how it is. I'm kind of excited I get to do this. Yay! I felt kind of stupid that I thought I had to have 1,000 subscribers to live stream. That's only for monetization, which I'm not really worried about right now. It's more along the lines, just like Cab, I'm here to help people. That's all this is really about. If I got paid for it, great, fantastic. But you know what? I'm surviving as is. It's not like I'm going to die. everything's going to be okay. So, let's see here. I know that some of the other streams I'm going to be doing here soon are going to be specifically for adolescents. I was going to figure it'd probably be from about 6th, 7th, 8th, all the way up to 12th grade. More along the lines of things of the insecurities that they may have and how to just talk to anybody and everybody that comes up to them without necessarily feeling afraid that somebody's going to judge them. I know in high school it's like almost next to impossible because there's so many cliques out there that don't care, but giving them the option, the ability to have the self-power gifted to them to say, well, what do you think? I know that these kids that you're going to high school with, you feel like they're your family, but what do you think? What do you think? Regardless of what they say, what do you think? If you don't agree with them, don't agree with them. Who said you had to? And that's the best part about that one thing of just letting your kids be who they are. Oh God, that's wonderful. Those that say they care so much. That's true. That is true. Sometimes you're going to find people that won't. Like, I really would say, I care. I do. I want to hear what you have to say. Even if I don't like it. I would rather hear what you have to say. I'm a person for free speech. Definitely a First Amendment kind of guy. Very much constitutionalist in that regard. Don't mind me. Gout's still kind of affecting me. Knees, a little sore on the left and both ankles on the bad side of it. But yeah, there are a lot of people who actually, I care so much, and then they turn around and they do stupid things like one channel that was mentioned there, sort of on cab, but not really necessarily mentioned, which will remain nameless here. That's their loss. Yeah, it's true. It's absolutely, yeah. But at the same time, if people want to sit there and say, well, they want to be two-faced about it, okay, I'm going to back away from that, and I'm going to care regardless. I'm going to care. I'm here to hear what everybody else has to say, no matter what it is. Even again, if I don't like what it is, I'll say, well, I don't necessarily agree with you, but I see what you're saying. I want to hear what you have to say because I want to understand enough to be able to respond, not react. And a good response, something that's meaningful that you get validated with. I want people to be lifted up. I don't have to sit there. I'm already okay with me. I would rather say, you know what? I'm okay with me. And I go to Cab's channel because that's kind of like my outlet when I'm down and I just need to be lifted up. This is where I go to get me going. And you know what? I talk to people and I try to lift them up when I'm there, especially on your inspirational stories nights that he does. That's great. I love hearing other people talk. But the same thing I want to do here. I want everybody to feel the same way that they can talk about anything, and let's get to some resolutions. And I love like Cap's passion. God, that man is so amazing. For a guy I consider almost an older brother because he's older than me. Not by much though. At 47, I kind of wear it a little good, but I just feel that there shouldn't be a reason for me not to want to try and gift people with this amazing thing that continually gives. And that's the power of being okay with yourself. It's infinitely powerful to be okay with yourself because at that point in time, nothing outside of you can really deter you. You can act however you want at that point in time. They want to be nasty to you? Okay, fantastic. I'm glad you're a jerk. You want me to do what? Okay, we're not going to act that way. I'm going to do something else. You can go your way. I'm going to go mine and have a great day. That's the best of it, because nobody needs to be around the negativity, but at the same time, you can't necessarily avoid it because there's a lot of crazy walking around on the street, especially up here. Wow, mental illness that happens around here. They really blew that off when they closed down a lot of mental institutions. Yeah, that's it. You give them the benefit of the doubt. That's absolutely true. But this is where I think the thing that goes hand in hand with it, I think you'd definitely agree with, is results take time to measure. and you get to see the real color of that horse over time. And so you give them that chance to, you give them the rope, see where they're going to go. Now, I have to say that I'm hurting for Cab that he gave some people some more chances than a lot of us would. Yeah, it gets personal. It's like, yeah. This is where, again, I just want to give advice and everything like that. I don't necessarily have to know people personally. I just want to basically, because I may not have the answer. And at that point in time, getting to know them personally kind of pointless. At that point, it's just like, you know what? I'm going to refer you to somebody else because I don't know. And this goes hand in hand with this great thing about I can be wrong. And I've extended this to an interesting thing that it's great marital advice. It's great relationship advice. If you really want to take this one, I love this one. I came up with this one in my own way. Maybe other people have said it. That's fine. But the whole thing, I actually got this from, I had a problem with how in arguments, women would always say that they're right. And there was nothing, and if you get arguing with one woman, and if there are other women in there, they just crowd up on you and there's no way to beat it. So rather than fight with that, I tried to figure out, well, how do I diffuse this? Again, going back to the training I've had. So it was very simple. Most men can say, well, I'm wrong, and it's whatever, and they blow it off. But really, they're going to fume on it, and they're going to steam. And this is where you get into that whole violent thing, and it gets really ugly. Or you get into really bad arguments, and you say things you really regret. So this comes down to this. I can be wrong as long as we both get to the truth, because then we're both right, and who cares? I would rather be right with you and you right with me, so we're solid, we're cohesive, we have everything together. And that's where that great advice is, especially if you have somebody who feels that they're always right, because you can show them facts and they just want to argue with you. It's like, look, I can be wrong, because if you're right, great. I would rather know the truth. Please tell me the truth at that point in time. I would rather do this than rather walk around with, as I did earlier, egg all over my face here, as known by PJ just had earlier. All that egg, whole omelet scraped off my face. And yeah, like being the only rooster in the hen house, that's all bad. But if I did that, the interesting thing was that I was noticing when I said things like that with other people, I wasn't even in an intimate relationship. It was just friends and a couple gals. And I said that to them. And they were like, oh, okay. And so we discussed the point that was really being argued, that they thought they were right. And we found out that we were both wrong. And that it was something else. Now, I'm not going to discuss that because it's kind of a personal matter. But we found out that we were both wrong. And that we finally came around to realize that there was something else. And then once we knew what it was and what we had to deal with, boom, it was. And that point, you're making, it's kind of a team building thing. You're building cohesive friendships and relationships that are meaningful. So that's an interesting little thing I took, and I tore down that whole thing about, women always being right. I mean, don't get me wrong. You ladies are always going to say that. There's nothing I can do about that. But the point is that as a man, I'm supposed to sit there and come with some sense of reason rather than going, me, grunt, drag knuckles, raw, that kind of thing. It really makes a guy look really, really dumb when he doesn't want to sit there and try and at least show some kind of situation. Well, what do you have to say? Let me hear what you have, because I can be wrong. But again, diffusing it all the way around is kind of a smarter thing, because, man, you make better friends when you do that. So, yes, going out for a smoke again. So other than that, what do you guys think? Has this been pretty good so far? Everything been pretty top notch? Hoping this my camera's not the greatest. I mean, the camera's like easily 7 years old as well. I need to get a new one. It's all grainy. Makes me look like I'm in an really old, like movie from the 40s and 30s. But it is what it is. Hello, beloved. Oh, that's true. Yeah, the lines on the film, and I can do that. I mean, OBS will do that as soon as I can get OBS to work. So, okay, great, fantastic. I'm glad you enjoyed yourself. That's the point of what I'm trying to do. Just make it so that we can talk about everything and nothing, just like we're friends right now. Although I'm married. And
you can be married and still have friends.
Yes, I know. However, I put you first.
Oh, yes.
Always.
Just like I do you.
Yeah, because I love you.
Yeah, well, that's what a marriage supposed to do.
Yeah.
Duh.
Yeah, I know. Wait, hit me harder. Oh, yeah.
See, this is why I can't beat him.
Right.
If you end the stream
Mhm.
before I come back in, just shut the.
Oh, no worries. Yeah, I got you.
Just close the window out.
All right. I got you, bud. I got you, babe.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I wish y'all guys could see this. The cat's on her back.
Oh, yeah. She's back there doing her little pose.
One belly rub.
Yep. I submit. I love you. Pet me. And then I'm going to claw at you. So.
Yeah, because she's evil.
Yeah, she's something else. So, at this point in time, let everybody know how things went. Point them to the video because I'll leave it up. The test I did initially, I know Judy Baum was actually upset because I had and it was just a quick video test. I was like, oh God, I didn't mean for it to stream kind of thing. I deleted it, but I'm going to leave this one up so that way that if people want to see what we're about, what we're trying to do here. And I say by we because it's also including you guys. This is not just about me. This is about making it just like what Cab said. He said a while back that in one of his videos, one of the very first videos I remember watching him on, it blew my mind, and I was so inspired. And I don't even that's not even strong enough. It was just so oh man, enlivening. And that is that he wanted other people to possibly take the same style of thing on because he's not going to be around forever. And I understand that, especially with the idea of like with my parents. I mean, they're not spring chickens, and I know eventually that they're going to be gone, sometime. I want to pass on the legacy of their knowledge, their wisdom that I've learned from them. Some of the things I'm talking to you are coming straight from my dad and my mom. Other people I've met. These things I want to share because they need to be given out. It's a tree that bears infinite fruit, and to not share it is being a selfish, jerk. And that's what I really have to say for Cab is that he inspired me to say, you know what? I want to join in this crusade with him. Well, it's not really a crusade, but in the effort, I really should say it that way, to help lift people up when he can't be there. Just like what Green Bay Wacky did. Oh, God, I was so happy that he did that prayer stream. That was so awesome. And that other people were talking so awesome about Cab and everything that we did. That mine are gone? Really? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, exactly. But I want to make it so that I can keep this going when Cab's not able to. I want to be there for him in this way to say, you know what, let's keep lifting people up, and that we can do this together as a community. And this amazing community that I've been able to be part of, I'm so grateful to. That this is why I want to do this. I want to keep giving and keep doing. I'm not necessarily rich by any means. I'm fairly broke, but you know what? This is free. I don't have to spend money on this. The most money I had was on this microphone. Eventually I'll get him another camera later. It's not a big deal. I'm doing great with this. But what really is worth more and is priceless is just doing this for you guys. And that's what I intend to do with this. Anyway, so let me go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and start sending this towards the time of let's end the stream and get moving. Hopefully I can get the OBS to work because I actually have some really cool transition screens that are really pretty I'd like to use. And we'll get that up and going. But thanks for being here, guys. I really appreciate it. Give a thumbs up if you already haven't. Let everybody know that, hey, this is when I can. I'm definitely going to be up here, especially while Cab's gone. There's some other things. If you got some young kids that, I say young, man. If you have some teenagers, God, I must be feeling my age or my brain. It's molding. My wife would say that, yeah, my eyes are turning green, so it's the poop in my head's going moldy, but it is what it is. But even if they want to ask questions,
here's the evil one.
Yes, that is the evil one. But even if they wanted to ask questions, as long as their parents are around and they've got permission, if they're under the age of 18, I have no problem answering them. I would rather get them some kind of advice because sometimes, mom and dad are, I don't want to talk to them. Okay, fine. So ask me. And if you don't want to ask me, let me point you to somebody you can ask because there are probably some great people in the chat that might have a better answer than even I do. And that's true because Known by PJ brought up that great point. Again, sometimes it's not always going to work that way. Get a bug out bag quick. You know, that you have no idea when things can go the way they do. But this is where, again, this can be an amazing experience that I'm hoping to build on and give people that option. So other than that, you guys have a great evening. This was kind of like my I couldn't sleep moment. The house was really hot and I was hurt and I couldn't even get comfortable at all. So please take this as my gift to you tonight. Please take everything that you can, and I hope that you find some peace and happiness in your lives. For those, again, just like Cab says, for those who don't believe in God, love and light. For those who do, God bless you. Many blessings to you. And for those, because I understand other faiths, you know what? Namaste. And that means, for those who don't understand it, it's I bow to that which is most sacred within you. That which is most sacred within me bows to that which is most sacred within you. That's a rough translation. I mean, if you really want to get into the Sanskrit of it, it'd take me a while, but still. You guys have a great evening, and yeah, morning. It's true. And we'll talk to you next time. Take care.